At 55, the story of Matt Damon, one of Hollywood's most respected and beloved actors, has taken a turn few could have imagined. Known for his warm personality, sharp intelligence, and down-to-earth nature, Damon seemed immune to the darkness that often swallows celebrities. But behind his calm smile and private life, there's a story of heartbreak, loss, and emotional struggle that fans rarely see. For decades, Damon built a reputation as the nice guy of Hollywood, a loyal husband, devoted father, and true friend. He avoided scandal, stayed humble despite fame, and focused on meaningful work rather than tabloid headlines. But as he's aged, life has dealt him quiet, painful blows that fame and fortune couldn't protect him from. In recent years, Damon has faced deep personal grief, public criticism, and the kind of emotional exhaustion that no award can ease. Friends close to him say the actor has changed, that the spark in his eyes, once so full of optimism, now carries the weight of someone who's seen too much. Behind the scenes, Damon has been battling regrets, guilt, and heartbreak tied to family loss, failed projects, and strained friendships. And though he rarely opens up publicly, the truth has slowly surfaced, painting a picture of a man whose greatest battles aren't on the big screen. But within his own heart, this is the untold truth of Matt Damon's quiet tragedy. How one of Hollywood's brightest stars found himself facing the darkness he spent a lifetime to Matt. Damon's journey began like something out of a movie. Born in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1970, he wasn't born into Hollywood privilege. He grew up in a modest home, raised by a strong mother after his parents divorced when he was just 2 years old. That early fracture in his family shaped him in ways few people understood. It taught him independence, but also left him with a quiet fear of emotional loss that would follow him for decades. As a young man, Damon wasn't just ambitious, he was relentless. Alongside his childhood friend Ben Affleck, he dreamed of making it big in Hollywood at a time when the odds couldn't have been lower. The two scraped together every dollar they could, writing Good Will Hunting in a small apartment, never imagining it would change their lives forever. When the film finally hit theaters in 1997, it didn't just make them stars, it made them icons. Damon won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay before turning 28. Overnight, he went from struggling actor to Hollywood's golden boy. But early success can be both a blessing and a curse. Fame brought money, opportunity, and admiration, but it also created pressure that Damon wasn't prepared for. Suddenly, every decision, every performance, and every interview was under scrutiny. The young man who had once been free to dream was now expected to live up to an image, that of the smart, wholesome, unshakable movie star. Behind the scenes, though, Damon struggled with the weight of expectation. Friends from his early years recalled that even during his biggest successes, he carried a quiet melancholy. He always felt like he had to prove himself, one friend said. Even when he made it, he worried it could all fall apart. His film career thrived, saving Private Ryan. The talented Mr. Ripley, the Bourne Identity, each project cemented his place among Hollywood's elite. But as his fame grew, so did the distance between his public persona and his private self. Damon was never one for scandal or headlines, and yet, his determination to protect his privacy came with a price: emotional isolation. Unlike many of his peers, Damon didn't chase the party lifestyle. He preferred quiet nights at home, staying grounded through his long-term marriage to Luciana Barroso and their 4 daughters. But even that stable family life couldn't shield him from the toll of Hollywood. As he entered his 40s and 50s, he began facing losses that shook him deeply: the death of close friends, the decline of meaningful collaborations, and the constant reminder that fame could be fleeting. The passing of his father, Kent Damon, in 2017 was a devastating blow. His father had been his moral compass, the quiet supporter behind every milestone. When he lost him, Damon admitted he felt unmoored. That grief lingered beneath his calm exterior, quietly influencing his choices and his emotional state. In interviews, Damon remained composed, but those who knew him said he had changed. "There's a sadness in him now," one longtime colleague said. "He's still kind and gracious, but it's like part of him is somewhere else." The boy who once dreamed of Hollywood glory had found it, but at a cost he never expected. He had gained everything he wanted: success, respect, and love. Yet, deep inside, he couldn't shake the feeling that life's greatest rewards always came with heartbreak waiting in the wings. And as the years went on, the quiet tragedies in Damon's life began to build, one after another, revealing that behind the polished smile of a movie star was a man still learning how to live with pain, ying to avoid. Behind Matt Damon's easy smile and everyman charm lies a deep well of heartbreak that fame could never heal. Over the years, Damon has faced a series of losses that changed him, not just as an actor, but as a person. For someone who built his life around loyalty, friendship, and love, those losses struck at the very core of who he was. One of the hardest blows came with the death of Robin Williams in 2014. For Damon, Robin wasn't just a co-star in Good Will Hunting. He was a mentor, a guiding force, and a friend who believed in him when he was still unsure of himself. When Robin took his own life, Damon was shattered. "It's just heartbreaking," he said quietly at the time. "I can't find the words." Behind the scenes, he struggled with guilt. He often spoke of how much Robin had given him, his warmth, encouragement, and friendship, and Damon couldn't stop wondering if there was something he could have done. He later admitted that after Robin's death, he couldn't watch Good Will Hunting for years. "It hurts too much," he said in one interview. "That movie changed my life, and so did he." But Robin's passing wasn't the only heartbreak. Years earlier, Damon had also lost another close friend, Heath Ledger. They had bonded deeply while working in the same circle of actors during the mid-2000s. When Heath died suddenly in 2008, Damon was one of the few stars who refused to speak publicly about it, saying only that it was too painful to discuss. Those who knew him said it hit him hard, reminding him of the fragility of fame and the darkness that often hides behind it. In the years that followed, Damon began to withdraw from the Hollywood spotlight. While he continued to make films, he grew more selective, preferring projects that carried emotional meaning rather than box office guarantees. Stillwater, The Martian, Ford v. Ferrari, these weren't just roles. They were reflections of his inner struggles. Men battling isolation, guilt, and loss, yet holding on to hope. Friends noticed a difference in him. "Matt's become quieter, more introspective," one insider shared. "He used to be the guy who could light up any room, but now he's more thoughtful, more cautious with his emotions." His father's death in 2017 deepened that sorrow. Damon had always described his dad as his hero, the man who taught him humility and perseverance. When cancer took him, Damon once again found himself facing the kind of pain that no amount of fame could ease. "He was everything to me," he said softly in a rare emotional interview. "Losing him felt like losing my foundation." The constant grief and pressure of fame also began to affect Damon's emotional health. While he kept his struggles private, close friends said he often wrestled with a sense of emptiness, the realization that even a stable marriage and loving family couldn't completely fill the void left by so many goodbyes. "He carries his pain quietly," a friend revealed. "He doesn't talk about it much, but you can see it in his eyes." Matt Damon, the man millions admired for his humility and strength, was quietly fighting a battle few saw against grief, guilt, and the heavy silence that follows loss. For the world, he remained the face of resilience. But inside, he was still that young man from Boston, trying to make sense of why the people he loved the most always seemed to be the ones he had to say goodbye to. And while Damon rarely opens up about his pain, his films have become his confessions, each one another attempt to make peace with the ghosts of the past. By the time Matt Damon reached his mid-50s, his life looked perfect from the outside. A loving wife, beautiful children, and a career that most actors could only dream of. But behind that composed exterior was a man quietly battling emotional exhaustion. The years of loss, guilt, and pressure had left scars that never fully healed. Damon was known for being grounded, but even the most grounded people can crumble under the weight of grief and expectation. After the deaths of Robin Williams, Heath Ledger, and his father, Damon's perspective on fame changed forever. The glitter of Hollywood no longer dazzled him. He had achieved everything: Oscars, blockbuster hits, critical acclaim, yet he often spoke about feeling detached from it all. "You realize success doesn't fill the holes inside you," he once said in a rare moment of honesty. "At some point, you have to face what's really haunting you." Those who worked with him began to notice subtle changes. On film sets, Damon was still professional and kind, but quieter, often lost in thought between takes. Some described him as present but distant, like someone who was physically there but emotionally elsewhere. He began spending long stretches of time away from Los Angeles, retreating with his family to Australia, where he could escape the noise of fame. His wife, Luciana, became his anchor, the one person who could steady him when his emotions spiraled. The couple, who married in 2005, kept their relationship fiercely private, and Damon often said she saved him. "I wouldn't have survived this business without her," he admitted. But even love has its limits. Damon's struggle wasn't just about grief. It was about identity. For decades, he had been Matt Damon, the movie star. Now, he was searching for who he was beyond the fame. His close friend Ben Affleck noticed it too. Their lifelong friendship, forged in childhood dreams and hardened by Hollywood's chaos, had its ups and downs. But in recent years, Damon's emotional distance had grown. "He's still the same Matt," Affleck once said, "but there's a heaviness to him now. It's like he's seen too much." Hollywood, for all its glamour, is an industry built on reinvention. And yet Damon never cared for the game of image and relevance. He watched as younger stars rose and fell, while scandals and social media turned fame into something fleeting and cruel. It disillusioned him deeply. "I miss when movies were about connection," he said. "Now it's about clicks, outrage, and algorithms. It's not the same." In private moments, Damon's melancholy grew. He reportedly struggled with insomnia and anxiety, signs of a man burdened by too many memories. He often spoke about mortality, about how life can change in a blink. His friends said he had become philosophical, talking more about purpose and less about success. "He's not chasing roles anymore," one source said. "He's chasing meaning." He began using his platform to support causes close to his heart, like clean water initiatives and humanitarian efforts. Yet even those who admired his activism sensed that it came from a place of inner searching, a man trying to heal through helping others. Despite his internal pain, Damon never let the world see him fall apart. In interviews, he smiled, joked, and carried himself with the same warmth fans loved. But behind the laughter, there was sadness. The quiet heartbreak of a man who had lived through too many goodbyes and too much loneliness in an industry that never stops moving. And so, while his fans still saw the confident Hollywood star, those closest to him saw the truth, a man at war with himself, still trying to balance gratitude with grief. As Matt Damon enters the later chapters of his life, he carries his past like a shadow, never gone, but no longer controlling him. After years of heartbreak, grief, and silent struggle, Damon has found something he once thought impossible: peace in simplicity. It didn't come through fame, fortune, or accolades. It came through acceptance. In recent years, Damon has deliberately stepped away from the relentless Hollywood spotlight. He no longer chases every role or attends every red carpet event. Instead, he prioritizes his family, close friendships, and a life that feels real. He and his wife, Luciana, split their time between the U.S. and Australia, preferring quiet days near the ocean to the chaos of Los Angeles. "I've learned that happiness isn't about what you achieve," Damon once said softly. "It's about who you're with when the cameras are off." Those who know him say he's become more introspective, a man who understands that true strength often lies in vulnerability. After losing his father and his dear friends, Damon began to see life through a different lens. He now speaks about grief not as something to overcome, but as something to carry with grace. "You never get over losing people you love," he told an interviewer. "You just learn to live with the love they left behind." This change is reflected in his career choices, too. Damon has shifted toward roles that mirror his own emotional evolution, characters defined not by action, but by depth. In Stillwater, The Last Duel, and Oppenheimer, his performances carry a sense of quiet sadness, as if every character he plays is a reflection of his own inner world. Audiences can see it, that subtle pain in his eyes, the pauses between words that say more than dialogue ever could. He has also become more outspoken about mental health, acknowledging that Hollywood's perfectionism often hides deep wounds. Without directly calling it depression, Damon has admitted to experiencing dark moments, especially after losing Robin Williams. "We all wear masks," he said, "but eventually they get heavy." Those words struck a chord with fans, many of whom admired his honesty and humility. At home, Damon is a devoted husband and father. He often talks about his daughters being his grounding force, his reminder that life is bigger than fame. "They don't care who I am on screen," he laughs. "At home, I'm just dad, and that's the role that matters most." In that laughter, you can hear healing, not a man free from pain, but one who's finally learned how to live alongside it. Still, there are days when the past resurfaces. Old friends gone too soon, the pressure of keeping up with an industry that's constantly evolving, the realization that time moves faster than anyone expects. But now Damon approaches those thoughts differently. Instead of running from them, he sits with them, quietly, reflectively, at peace. He's also learned to appreciate small things: a morning coffee, a walk with his wife, watching his kids grow up. These are the moments he once overlooked when Hollywood consumed his life. "When you strip away all the noise," he once said, "you realize the most meaningful parts of life are the quiet ones." Today, Matt Damon stands as a man who's lived both the dream and the nightmare of fame. He's faced unimaginable losses, battled invisible struggles, and yet, through it all, he's chosen compassion over bitterness. His story isn't one of tragedy, but of endurance, a reminder that even those who seem to have it all carry invisible pain. And while the world sees a movie star, those who look closer see something much more profound, a human being who fell, broke, healed, and learned to live again. Matt Damon's life, once defined by fame, is now defined by something far greater: peace. And in that peace, perhaps, he's finally found what he was searching for all along: himself.